Check two, check, check, check. Check two. Okay, check 1, 2, check, check. I think that's going. 1, 2, check 1, 2. We're live. Give me a little thumbs up if so. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the third office hours, my monthly, opportunity to hang out and do something in real time, and also have a amazing glare on my glasses. There I am. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just going to play a couple songs, and there's a couple questions, and maybe rap a little bit about what I've been reading, thinking about, and what's going on lately. All right. And as I walk the road from Chandra, weary I sit down. For it's 12 long miles around the lake to get to Cabin Town. The water and the road I go once seemed beyond compare. Now I curse the time it takes to reach my cabin girl so fair. The autumn shades are on the leaves, the trees soon will be bare, and each red gold leaf around me sees the colors of her hair. My gaze retreats back to my feet, and once again I sigh for the broken pools of sky remind me of the colors of her eyes. And at the Cabin Cross each Sunday morning, there she can be found. And it seems she has the eye of every boy in Cabin Town. If my luck will hold, I'll have the golden summer of her smile, and to break the hearts of cabin men, she'll talk to me a while. And so next Sunday evening finds me homeward, Chandra bound, to work the week till I return to court in Cabin Town, and asked if she would be my bride. At least she'd not say no. So next Sunday morning I'll rouse myself, back to her I'll go. That's an old Irish song called Cavan Girl, and it's not famous or anything, but it has personal meaning to me. And I'll tell you the truth about this song is that there's a part in there I tried to play a little bit guitar-y, and I worked that up to play it in Idaho at a recent tour. And I did play it one time, but I felt like, oh, that's not enough. And so I'm still working on it and getting better as we do, hopefully, if we play our cards right. What else is going on? I'll play a song in a second, but let's talk about writing for a second. I guess I'm doing a lot of that lately. And just turn this up too. Doing a lot of writing and reading. And I posted a thing earlier today that I wrote a couple of days ago, and two thoughts on that. I had a physical feat, which was to climb a tall peak, and that seemed, as I was doing it, to be worth maybe writing about. And then, as is often the case with my approach to writing, is it started about one thing, and then I kind of was feeling my way forward about what was really going on here in this story, and my thoughts unfolded in real time. It ended up kind of being a metaphor for writing. Was this attempt to climb a mountain, and what am I trying to say? So that's how that unfolded. I just wrote about it. It's on my Substack. Maybe you've read it. And the other thing about that piece and its personal significance to me is it represents some kind of, I don't know if it's a corner I'm turning, or I'm moving in a new direction, or maybe a truing of my existing direction. But I have felt increasingly compelled to speak toward some of the maladies of our age, and given my own limited understanding and capacity for abstract thought, sometimes I think I have a word or two that might be helpful to add to the conversation. This story was an attempt to do that in a way. And I noticed that it's basic to my personality not to take sides. I think that's the word. I've always been loath to commit myself to a group of any kind, whether that was youth group in church or some political affiliation. And a lot of that's because I just feel empathy toward a number of positions in life, and that's made it hard to get really excited about any one of them. But I noticed that, well, I don't want to live my whole life and not have stood for something. And it's not like I don't stand for anything. I mean, it's forced me to think about that question of what is it that I stand for, or what is it that I'm passionate about, or feel that is something worth defending. I do have a few things that I notice that I feel like are worth defending, and one of them, for me, an easy one, is this idea basic to the Western perspective of worldviews of free speech. And I guess you could say that's my voting issue, and it's something that I've seen erode before my very eyes in institutions that I had heretofore trusted. And that's been jarring and unsettling and dispiriting, and it seems to be continuing, and I felt like I should write something about that. So I did that in this piece. That's my long way of saying that, and it's got a funny title called I solo climbed a 12,000 foot peak, and all I got to show for it was this metaphor. What are you reading there, Lenker? Well, I have a couple of books. Somebody wrote to me after my last office hours and said that the book part of the office hours was maybe the most interesting, which was good to know. I like to read books a lot, and I think that I have excellent taste. And so why not share a few of those things? And I think that one of these books that I read that's made the biggest impression on me in the last 5 years is this book right here, and it's called The Righteous Mind by a guy named Jonathan Haidt. And I really like his work. He is apolitical, I would say. That's not the work. That's not the. That's not why he's doing what he's doing. He's gotten a lot more notoriety in the last year because there was an article that came out in the Atlantic recently about his sort of decrying the ills of screens, particularly with regard to child development. And this is what I like about him. He has a proposed solution to help alleviate some of those really serious problems that are coming along with kids being addicted to screens at a young age. I think that this is public news now, but we're going to have our first child in December, and we're very excited about that. And so thank you. I just imagine your applause right now. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not hardly doing any of the work. But that sort of makes you take more seriously some of these problems that you see in the world, because my kid is going to inhabit this world, and I would like for my kid to have a good experience as much as I'm capable of shaping it. So anyway, Jonathan Haidt writes about this, and he has a lot of really good things to say, and I think you should check him out. He's got many YouTube lectures and stuff, or videos that you can see, and also that aforementioned Atlantic article. This book called The Righteous Mind. Can you read that? Okay. Why good people are divided by politics and religion. It really takes a socio-psychological approach to our basis for forming opinions, and it's grounded in not only psychology, but the history of psychology. It goes through lots of different influential thinkers and the basic kind of approaches or arguments for human nature, like for instance the blank slate idea, which I can't remember who's credited with inventing that, but this idea that everybody is born just like a blank slate, and it's culture that imparts the values upon that person, and consequently the values of anybody are widely malleable. Jonathan Haidt disagrees with that, and I think that the evidence proves him out. But the real worth of it is there's a practical component to it, because in reading this book, you see that what's actually going on underneath your so-called rationally consistent ideas, because we all think that we're kind of rationally consistent, right, is something kind of wildly emotional, and it's really that emotion that's leading you around, and you're sort of shaping your rational arguments for and against an idea after the fact. So this book is worth reading, The Righteous Mind. It's a biggin, but great. Okay, that was a heavy one, and a not so heavy one, but just one that's pure joy, is this book that you maybe have read or heard of called Angela's Ashes. It's a memoir by an Irishman named Frank McCourt, who had a really troubled childhood, and he writes about that in this book. And he always wanted to be a writer. Funny thing about him, I just learned this not too long ago. He always wanted to be a writer, but he just couldn't ever figure out how to put his experiences into a story of any length or merit. And so he didn't write until he was, I think, in his 60s. And he stumbled upon, I can't remember what the gateway was, but he wrote a sentence, and he thought, oh, that's right. He happened upon this idea of writing his memories from the perspective of a child, from his perspective as a child. So the narrator's a little kid, and that unlocked the way forward for him in this book. And I think, it's very readable and a fat piece of humanity here. You'll just lose all concept of time and distance in reading this book. But also, I think in his story is something encouraging for we late bloomers, because he didn't really get around to doing what ended up being his life's calling until he was in his deep 60s. So we got a second here. We might be okay. How about a song? I'm going to sing this song. This is a song I wrote a while ago about this time that I had, this experience I had in West Virginia going to a snake handling church. I got in with some folks there at the Church of the Lord Jesus and ended up writing this song sort of based on some of the real experiences I had. And that, more on that in a second. Well, he was long and he was tall, like a copperhead he held, and his faith was as deep as a Palestine well. And it was said that the Spirit would come down on him, and he would pick up those serpents, and he'd dance and he'd spin. And pumpkin brown won't mess you around here, but to this old earth you was only on loan. And pumpkin brown, your faith took you down, and I guess a good Lord just wanted you home. And I said it's midnight and you're low, and the lights are still on at the church of the Lord Jesus. There will be till dawn, and the faithful that still gather to pray like before. You know, but old pumpkin brown, well, he ain't with them no more. And pumpkin brown will mess you around here, but to this old earth you was only on loan. Pumpkin brown, your faith took you down, and I guess the good Lord just wanted you home. Still talk in whispers when you ask them about that night in
honest, I can't help but wonder what his praying was worth. 'Cause when he went up to heaven, left his 3 kids on earth. And Pumpkin Brown will miss you around here. But to this old earth, you was only on loan. And Pumpkin Brown, your faith took you down. And I guess the good Lord just wanted you home.
All right. Lovely. Lovely. Just lovely. Okay. Make sure this is all still going. Okay, good. And yeah, so that song is about the Snake Handling Church, Pumpkin Brown. And it's also, you might know or not know, that it's the subject of my big work that I'm working on right now. My big work, which is this novel that I'm 60,000 words into, and I'm shooting for 80. And it's about this kid who lives in Washington, D.C., who hears about a murder up there in West Virginia and goes to investigate this heinous crime and stumbles upon something that's much larger than himself. And hey, Bobby Joe Valentine. And it kind of gets at what I'm interested in, I think, momentarily, seasonally, and also in my life, which is this idea that none of us really has a firm grasp on reality and what actually is the right way up. We have hints and guesses. That's the best that we can do. And I think that this character's, the main character, his name's Adam, his journey is one of being very confident that what he knows to be true is capital T truth. Moving from that position to one of total and complete uncertainty in the face of overwhelming evidence that there's a lot more going on in the world. And some of that's a reflection. I didn't have like the hard and fast mentality, like a materialist position. I've never really been like that. I've been always sort of open toward the essential mystery of life. But I will say that some of the experiences that I had back then, when I was probably 22 years old, in that snake handling church in deep Appalachia in McDowell County, did a lot to, I wouldn't say, like, I guess maybe open my mind is one word for it, but humble me in terms of there being more than one way of knowing. And especially when it comes to spiritual matters, which are, I think, the most important matters in our lives. Anyway, so look for that. It's probably about 3 years from being done. So God help me. What else? Okay. Here's something tasteless that I'm reading, and incredible. I just love this book so much. And it's tasteless right there in the title, Flashman and the Redskins. I don't think that you're supposed to say that anymore. I think it's kind of like a soft slur. So I'm just repeating that because it's on the title, and I want you to know, for official sake, what the name of the book is. And it's by a guy named George MacDonald Fraser. Funny thing, this book, I've been sitting on my bookshelf for 10 years, I bet, 8 years. And it was sent to me in the mail after I played the show in Sunderland, England, up in the UK. I played this show, and with my buddy Marty Longstaff, who's booked that show for me. He's a really talented singer-songwriter of British persuasion. And there was a guy at the show, maybe I'll see this guy and I can thank him in person, but who came up to me afterwards, and he liked one of the songs that I played, the song Shenandoah I wrote about snake handling, or I'm sorry, about whaling songs, you know. And he liked that. It's kind of a story song, and this guy liked it. And he told me, "Have you ever heard of George MacDonald Fraser?" And I said, "No, I have not." And he's like, "Oh man, I've got to send you these books." And I thought, okay, great. Forgot all about it. Went back home, and then maybe 6 months later, I get this package in the mail of these 2 books, and one of them's this one, and the other one is another in the same series. This Flashman Papers. Maybe some of you have heard of these novels. I've never heard of these books, and I read the first one. I see it over there. Flashman for Freedom is what it's called. And it was just unputdownable, like a true romp of a story. And it kind of captures this cad of a man, a ne'er-do-well, woman-chasing coward who just sort of lucks his way through many epochs of history. By the skin of his teeth, he gets through. And it's racy and colorful, to say the least, and has a lot of words in it that you're not supposed to use anymore and that are, verboten. Because it was written a long time ago, and but the stories are just so great. And there's something, I like a good highbrow piece of literature. I like to fight my way through, Faust. I do, because there's a lot to stuff that's difficult in reading, and it kind of refined thoughts, refined souls. But there's also just something about a great tale, and I read one serious book, and then I read kind of one lighter one. I'm in my light moment, so there'll be a couple weeks in this book, because the one I just finished was called The 48 Rules of Power, by an influential guy named Robert Greene, which I suggest you should read that book. It'll make you cynical a little bit, but maybe that's good. It's part of the growing up process, which never ends. I finished that book, so now I'm on to this one, and wow, so fun. Fiction is just so good for you. Okay, let's do one more song, and then I gotta go. We gotta go to church. We've been fraternizing with the Catholic Church lately, and I don't think I'm Catholic really in my blood. Also, I'm not allowed to be because I was married a long time ago, and apparently that's speaking of verboten. You have to petition the authorities for forgiveness on that, and you don't get forgiveness. They decide whether or not you were actually married. The whole thing is a joke, with respect to the Pope. But I like sitting in the church. My wife likes it a lot. So, okay. Cool. Thanks a lot, you guys, for listening. And I'll do this again in a month. And I hope you don't mind the somewhat informal delivery mechanism of these. I don't ever do this stuff. So, meaning do reels and things like that. I don't like that stuff, but I do like a little, I like a longer form, I'm Gen X, man. We take our time, okay? This is called Meet Me at the End of the World.
It was on an afternoon. There was an asteroid. We all watched the simulation. It fell from the sky in a trail of fire. I hid my eyes from the explosion, but I saw you smiling. You were laughing quietly when you leaned in close. I wasn't sure I heard. You said, meet me at the end of the world. Gotta love like a pocket watch. Gotta love like an albatross. You gotta love like an unknown destination. but I'm a pretty good guess. I found you on the manifest, all dressed up for the occasion. Yeah, they say it's a fairy tale, sad as sailors chasing whales. But I hold my breath and dive down for this pearl, singing, meet me at the end of the world. I hold you and the earthquakes shudder. I kiss you, the ocean swell. I feel you next to me when the sky and sea meet upon the ending earth, blur into the curvature on the other side of heaven. Hell, It was on an afternoon, there was an asteroid. We all watched the simulation.
All right, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hey, it's great to see you, Patrick, and Coon Dog, Bobby Joe, my man. Thank you so much, brother. 3 Chords in the Truth. Yeah, that's Punk and Brown style. Thank you guys for tuning in. Oh yeah, well I'll remember that now. I'll tune it up soon. I could do that, and I will do it sooner than later. Next time I'm going to do it, I'm going to save the settings and tweak it. Okay, I'll see you guys all in a month. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Cheers.